Welcome to Rebel Watch, an all-Star Wars podcast.
Hey, what are you trying to push on us?
Perhaps you think you're being treated unfairly.
Hey Star Wars fans, welcome to Rebel Watch, and welcome to a journey through Star Wars. I'm Ez, and I'm joined by my Padawan learner, Tiffany O'Malley. How you doing today, Tiffany?
I am doing awesome.
Wow.
Loving life.
Good.
Yes.
You know, it's the Force just makes things better. I mean, it kind of heightens our senses, and we're able to enjoy this beautiful life that we have.
Yes.
Right?
I feel
So, it's exciting. It's good. It's good stuff. So we're back with our part 2 of the Phantom Menace, episode 1, and this is our journey through Star Wars. Let's give them just a little recap, I guess.
Do the recap, my friend.
Of the last episode.
Yeah.
So we basically got all the way through. I forget where did we leave? Oh, right as Qui-Gon Jinn had just finished dueling Darth Maul, and Anakin dropped. There was a Force jump. They got out of there. They're safely aboard the Naboo cruiser.
Yep.
And they are headed towards Coruscant.
Yep.
So everything's repaired. Anakin won the Boon to Eve Classic, and we're good to go. He was set free, and he is the chosen one. So Qui-Gon believes, anyways. So we will talk more about that, especially as we get ready to approach the Jedi Council. So there's your recap. Just kind of quickly going over what we went over last time. And if you're interested, about once a month we're going to be doing these, so you can join along, watch the movies, and go from there. So, alrighty. Before we hop into the actual events, again, Tiffany is my Padawan learner, and there are things that she must learn. So we're going to recite the Youngling / Padawan code. You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Repeat after me. It's so awesome. Okay. So we have to get in this.
I'm in the zone, man.
You have to.
I'm here.
You have to. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Emotion, yet peace.
Emotion, yet peace.
Ignorance, yet knowledge.
Ignorance, yet knowledge.
Passion, yet serenity.
Passion, yet serenity.
Chaos, yet harmony.
Chaos, yet harmony.
Death, yet the Force.
Death, yet the Force.
Good. And each of those, so we'll, that's just a shortened version. We'll get into, basically, just a couple other, it's either there is, and so, All right.
Lots of words.
No, it's good. It's good to remember just those two, to associate those words with one another. All right, let's see here. So we're going to hop into Tiffany's notes and get after the Phantom Menace Part 2 and see what you have in store. Well, we already read the crawl for the first, so we're going to move on to just your notes, right? Okay. Awesome.
Yep, crawl has been read in the previous episode.
That's right.
So let's jump in here.
Okay.
So they're headed to, what do you Coruscant?
Coruscant.
Yep.
Coruscant. Yep.
Coruscant for the Jedi Council, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so Qui-Gon talks to them about the attacker, right? The mysterious attacker at this point.
Right, yeah.
On Tatooine, right?
Correct.
Okay. Sorry, I'm just trying to get my bearings here.
No, you're good. Yeah, he talks about this mysterious attacker. And so he needed to report that they've done their job. They've safely gotten Queen Amidala to Coruscant, and she's safe.
Right. Yes.
Their actual initial job was for the negotiations, to negotiate, right?
But they weren't having it.
They never took place.
No.
So then they improvised, and they are rescuing Queen Amidala, and so she is safe. She is safe now with Chancellor Valorum, and Anakin is staying close. But Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan have to roll over to the council first. So they're going to roll over there and share, like you just said, about this. What is this? They don't know. I mean, they don't know who Darth Maul is really. They're So
did he talk about if he's trained?
Yeah, he was
Does
trained.
Qui-Gon talk about?
Yes, to the
Qui-Gon
council.
talk about, yeah.
Yes, so
Okay.
he said that he was well trained. Yes.
Right. Okay.
Yep. Hmm.
All right.
And he believes that it. I think Qui-Gon says that he believes that it is a Sith, or that the Sith have returned, or what have you.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, and then Sith. So, who says the Sith couldn't return without them knowing?
Mace Windu.
Mace Windu says that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. And so it's a very arrogant response, as if like, I know, super arrogant. Like, I think it's Ki-Adi-Mundi, the Conehead guy. He says that they basically that the Sith have been extinct or have been gone for over a millennia. And then Mace Windu says that that for them to return without the council knowing would just not be possible, right? Or that just couldn't. He struggled with that, So I can't remember the exact verbiage, but yeah. So Yoda's just like, meditate on this. We will, we will seek out and try to figure out the true identity of your attacker. So they present that now.
Yes.
You probably have in your notes.
Go for it.
That's not the only thing that Qui-Gon wanted to talk to the council about, right?
Yes, he wants to talk about Anakin.
Right. Yep.
And doesn't he talk about the midichlorian count?
He basically says, so Yoda's. Yeah.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. I was just looking at my notes, but you go.
No, I mean he kind of just says that Yoda's like, more to say, have you, Qui-Gon? And
God, I love Yoda.
I know, it's so great. And he talks about meeting someone in the that he's possibly conceived by Midichlorians. Here, you have it right here. Yeah,
I do have. I have like exactly.
Yeah, you do. Yeah. So go ahead. Yeah.
No, so in my notes after we talk about like how Mace Windu says the Sith couldn't return without them knowing, which
there's part of the problem. I mean, that's the whole problem with the council. It's what Luke saw and has learned about. It's why the Jedi needed to end. It's one of the reasons right here. So there's that mentality.
Yeah.
So
I go on to write that Yoda knows that Qui-Gon has more to say. Mm-hmm. I wrote something about vengeance in the Force about Annie.
Oh, I think it was like a virgins or like a. Is that what he said? Did he see? He said.
I wrote vengeance, but I don't know.
I think it was.
Is that
it was
a typo.
It's probably. It's that he met. It's the idea that he met something in the Force that would aid them.
Okay.
Yeah, something that would support and help them, and that it was clearly the Force had designed this and had set it in front of Qui-Gon to see.
Right, and then he says this possibility that he was conceived by midichlorians.
Right,
like straight up
says it.
Straight up says it.
Yes, and then they kind of talk about how, I think Mace says you speak of the prophecy of the one, right, and Qui-Gon starts to say, I don't presume to whatever, and then Yoda cuts him off and says, but, revealed your feelings and thoughts are on the matter. And then Qui-Gon says, I request that the boy be tested.
Yeah.
So he wants the boy to be tested, and so even if you look at like Samuel L. Jackson, Mace Windu, his responses kind of shakes his head, and he's just like, all right, bring him before us.
Why?
Right? He's just kind of like...
Why the attitude with
Why
it?
the attitude?
Yeah,
right.
But really...
I know.
Does anyone know? Do you know?
No, I think that was a flaw that had become more and more... That it was just kind of... I don't know. I don't think they had a lot... I think there was a lot of animosity. Not a lot, but there was some between Qui-Gon Jinn and the Council. Qui-Gon Jinn sort of just followed his own path.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Because he kind of says, screw it, I'm going to do what I want.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
He does, eventually. So actually when he leaves, I think he's even talking to Obi-Wan about it, or before or after. It's when they're going, after Anakin's been tested, they're going to get the results, and Obi-Wan's like trying to warn his master, like, Master, just, listen to the council. If you would listen to the council, you would be on the council, And it's true, he would be, but he has a mind of his own. The Force is his guide,
He's a rogue.
is his ally.
Right.
Yeah. So Annie gets tested, and they sense much fear in him.
And then Yoda has a really good sequence about fear and what it leads to. And I don't have it written. I'm sure it's somewhere on the internet.
Yeah.
Because
I'll find it for you real quick.
You get the idea. Oh. Yeah. I see. Yeah. So okay, let me go back a little bit.
Fear is the path to dark side.
Yep.
To the dark side. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering.
Yes.
And so, I think it was fear for his mother, right? And Anakin admits that, that he's afraid about losing his mother. And then he's like, what does that have to do with anything? Right? And then Yoda says, everything. Fear is the path to the dark side, and goes on. So, that was real eye-opening for them in that moment. But I also think, too, that one fear, it is sort of the flaw in the Jedi code, I guess, because that's why they want to take younglings, who they almost like separate from mom and dad, and there's not that connection or that fear of loss or whatever. So they take them away from everything that they know, and they raise them in this, according to the Sith, like a dogmatic, approach to the Force and how you should behave in it and things.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, it's interesting, that attachments, they don't, I think Anakin later says like that attachment's forbidden. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know, it's weird. But like right in that moment, though, you kind of get to see how the council is like afraid of this one fear. Of course, you're afraid that you'll never see your mom again, but why is that something that is, and I'm questioning Master Yoda's words here.
Yeah.
A little bit, and he's like, Anakin doesn't understand, like, what does that have to do with anything? And sure, I get that fear is the path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering. And clearly that is what took Anakin down his path.
Yes.
Right? But I just think it's their approach. I think it's their approach, the way they really try to get everybody to fall in line and go one certain way. It's almost like as teachers, right? Everyone, we teach one way and you have to learn it one way and you have to spit it back to us one way. And we know that's not true.
Correct.
As teachers, we know that people learn differently and they need to express themselves differently and things. So and then people, when we try to teach and force feed kids that way, they get upset and they act out, right? And so then they're failing class, and next thing you know, they're a delinquent and things like that. So it's kind of what I think about sometimes when I think about the council, and that there is just this one way, the code, and you have to follow the code, right? Which I get, and you have to follow their teachings exactly. I don't know. I think there's the Force evolves, and they did not evolve with it.
No.
So.
Oh my gosh.
But anyways.
We're making moves here, guys.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
So what else you got though?
Well, okay. So that Qui-Gon's like could be the chosen one to bring balance to the Force, and the Council looks less than impressed. And Anakin Anakin wants to be trained. He wants to go to the Jedi Temple. He wants to do this. And when we're talking about Yoda and talking about the fear quote and how it leads to the dark side, it just it makes me wonder how much Yoda could sense in him as far as the dark side goes. But you have to think about Anakin and being Vader, and at those last moments, like we're jumping way ahead here, but like there were two paths for him. Yeah. There was a light and a dark path. Right. And the choices led more so to that dark path, but in the end that light path was still there. So I just wonder, like, could all Yoda see was that dark path or sense it? Yeah. Or is that, I don't know, maybe, I don't know, I just don't know.
Well, I think it's an issue of control. We're getting into some deep stuff about the council here. This is good because I've always wanted to do this, but so they want to control everything. Yeah. And Yoda and the council, since Anakin has grown and learned and has his experiences and things, and he has this attachment to his mother, and he's been outside of their control for however many years, 9, 10 years, and they don't like that, and so it makes them worry that they're not able to kind of control and mold this boy the way that they want to, the way that they feel like he should be molded.
Says he's too old, right?
He's too old.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they say that about Luke, and that's often their go-to.
He's got his own ideas already.
Yes, is that he's too old and he's all these different things, right? Yeah, exactly. So I start to kind of think about, they want to control, right, that carnal being, right? But then also they want to control the Force. And I think there's always been this. I've always looked at how they, maybe not Yoda per se, I don't know, but that they want to control it, and they have, this is how it is, and it's like set in stone. This is how the Force acts and behaves, and they don't see it as, they do see it as a living thing. I don't mean to say that, but it's just this issue of control. Do you not have enough faith in the Force that it would guide this, older Padawan the same way that it would maybe guide, someone a youngling that you had pulled in, you'd pulled away from his mother or father. That's where your faith should be put there in the light side of the Force. That you teach him about these things, show him both paths, put it all out there in front of him, and then have faith that he's going to make the right choices and that the Force will guide him. Lean on the Force and let it be, what guides you and works through you and things like that. But it's more about listen to Master Yoda and his teachings, and we need to control and spoon feed you. That's why Anakin's all upset about, he says later on, there's things that the Jedi are not teaching me, that they're not telling me, and he's frustrated by that.
And I wonder how much of this conversation has stuck with Anakin.
Yeah.
From the beginning, Yoda was saying, hey, those feelings lead to the dark side. How much of that is stuck in Anakin's head as he continues getting older and leaning more towards the dark side? He's always reminded, well, Yoda says this. Yoda said dark side. Yoda said dark side.
Right. Yep. That's a really good point. I mean, he actually, even in his relationship with, jumping way ahead again, but might as well, with Padme, he talks about how he views it differently, that he thinks they should be encouraged to love, and versus like, that attachment is forbidden, right? But to have someone like that, to be married or what have you.
Yeah.
But yet, that he thinks that there should be some encouragement for. And I can't believe I'm doing this again, but I'm going to bring back Revan again, who's such a great character, falls in love with, it was his love that saves Bastila, one of the top Jedi Knights that fought against him and is turned by his apprentice Malak, and then he saves Bastila and is able to bring her back from the dark side. And and she says later on it was Revan's love that brought her back. Right, so that's something.
The Force, I feel like the Force though, like how can love can be part of the Force? Absolutely,
yeah. The Force, and I thought the Last Jedi did a really good job of showing us that it's in all things. It's the space in between, and it's the glue. It's all of that. It's everywhere. It's all around us.
It's everything.
Yeah.
Like when Rey was talking about like how it's the life and then it's the death.
Right.
Like it's literally everything.
Yep.
Oof.
Yeah, I know.
So episode 1, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I know.
It's just, but I mean, I've obviously seen all of the movies.
Yeah.
And so, from time to time, we're gonna pull some stuff from other
and I
movies.
think that's fine. I mean, it's because right there, this conversation, what's happening with the Jedi Council, the implications and following the threads a little bit, just to kind of talk about it. You kind of have to do, follow a thread just a little bit into the next movie and kind of make sure that we, I don't know, because we don't want to miss this conversation because we don't want to get into episode 2 and then not have this conversation.
Right.
So it will come up again later and we can then tie it back. So it'll be fine. But yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So after testing Annie, he passes and then they deem him too old for training.
Right.
According to the Jedi Code, right?
Yep.
And
And really,
then-
this is like the Jedi Temple, like the Jedi Order themselves will not train him. And then Qui-Gon says, I will take the boy
right.
as my Padawan learner.
Yeah.
And Yoda says, you already have one. And he says, Obi-Wan is ready to face the trials.
Right.
Yes. Which is huge.
Right.
Because he is, actually, and things. So, but then they're like, no, we'll settle this later. We'll settle this later. For now, the Queen is about to go back to Naboo. And let's jump back to that part because you've had a big sort of switch in political power, right? You remember that part from Chancellor Valorum?
Yeah, she speaks to the representatives, right, of the Republic,
right,
about the oppression, of the Trade Federation, and the Queen suggests new leadership and a vote of no confidence in Valorium, right?
Yep.
And so I also wrote here in regards to Anakin, I wrote Obi-Wan, or no, not Obi-Wan.
Qui-Gon?
Qui-Gon does what he wants.
Yes. Yeah, he does. He does. Yep.
So, but I just wish I don't know. We'd have a whole different story. But like having that confidence in Anakin, I think, coming from an early childhood educator's mouth right here, the things you say to children stick with them.
Yes. Yep.
And they carry that with them. And I think maybe had the council done something a little different, not have been so clouded by fear themselves, maybe we would have had a different story.
Wow. I can't believe you just turned that back around on the council.
I'm just saying.
Wow.
Sorry, I'm not sorry.
No, it's good. That's interesting. They are so afraid.
They're clouded by fear, and that affects
their
judgment on Anakin, thus affecting Anakin's way to the dark.
Right. Yeah. They exactly. They sense things and they can quote see through him and all these different things. And they're afraid that if they teach him, that he's gonna. And part of it is like, when you look at it, we know what comes to pass.
Right.
So yes, there was good reason for them to be sort of concerned and reserved in things, but it's almost back to the Master Oogway quote. I'm sorry, but that that you find your destiny on the path that you take to avoid it. Right, or that these things that are going to by avoiding it, you actually are causing it to happen, right?
Correct.
So their avoidance of embracing and training him because of that fear is what caused him to actually probably go through to be more susceptible to the dark side, right? Same thing with Ben Solo, really.
Yes.
Right. Same thing.
Yes.
So, and that's why people are all upset with Luke igniting his lightsaber. We don't know. But yes, all that was there, but maybe he's holding on. Maybe it's something he always would have to fight with. Don't get me started on The Last Jedi. Let's get right back to this.
Right. But let me, I've told you from time to time, Potter quotes might come in, but Sirius Black says, we all have light and dark in us. It's not people and Death Eaters separated, and it's the choices we make. Let's go to Albus Dumbledore that show us who we truly are.
Yeah.
And I just wonder if maybe they sensed all that dark and it clouded their judgment to seeing that light that was also there. So
they focused on that.
They
on
focused
the
on yes.
Yeah.
Rather than the positive.
Wow. Very, very deep and sweaty. I like it.
Just trying to learn, guys.
Oh, it's a really good discussion because there's a podcast, I can't remember it right now, but the guy's like a philosophy major, and he basically, like, to hear him talk about these things and they're to almost like argue with Master Yoda. I have to look him up, and I'll put his name down in the description because he does such a good job of it, and he uses philosophy to kind of go back and forth with some of what the council does and says in the prequels. And it's great. It honestly kind of reminds you of, oh gosh, this is going to sound crazy. People are going to hate me for this, but almost like the Pharisees and things like that in Jesus' time, right? And so, and how his teachings clashed with theirs, and they were the established,
Yeah.
holy, right? And it's just interesting. So
It is very interesting.
but
we can, I mean,
sorry,
You-
tangents.
but tangents, but not, because you can pull from so many different things within our world, like you're pulling from the Bible, I'm pulling from Potter. We could pull from a number of other things and connect
That's what
it
makes
to
it a great story. That's what makes it a great story.
It makes
actually.
it an epic story.
Yeah, exactly. It does. It
So,
does. Okay. All right.
yes. All right. We are
So now, but the
political views here.
change here. Yes.
Yes.
So
vote
of no confidence, as you said.
Yeah, Senator Palpatine says he's warning of corruption, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Call for the vote of no confidence in Supreme Chandler Valorium. Queen takes his advice, addresses the Senate. Palpatine is among the candidates to replace the Supreme Chancellor.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And yeah.
Yeah, and he's one of three. Yeah, and he Bail Antilles of Alderaan, and I forget the other one. Malastare. He's from Malastare. And yeah, so he thinks his chances are good, and the sympathy for
right,
Naboo,
yes, the sympathy,
right,
sympathy vote rather.
He's playing this. I mean, he knows exactly what he's doing.
Oh, like a fiddle.
Yeah, I mean, mentioning to her that things could go to the courts and take even longer in the courts and stuff like that. He's playing her. So
when you look ahead, and when you finally find out who he really is, if you hadn't already realized it with yourself,
right?
If you go back and watch these. Just watching Palpatine talk to her, he sneaks in like a snake, and he's always whispering in her ear and telling her secretively these things.
Right.
And it's a snake in the grass. And if you didn't realize, this guy, the first time around, when you go back and watch it, pay attention to the body language.
Yeah.
Because it's really good. It's well acted.
Ian McDermott, I was about to say, he does an awesome job. It's unreal how he can seem like such a nice, prestigious senator bouncing around and just and then he's Lord Sidious.
Yeah.
It's unreal, Darth Sidious. So kind of crazy. But so that change in power happens. And in the meantime, he's just sort of it's playing right into his hands. One, he gets the power. Two, he believes there's nothing that Padme can really, or that Queen Amidala can do. But then an unexpected conversation with Jar Jar Binks changes everything, which is absolutely absurd, but it is the conversation that she has with Binks that gives her
Remind me of this conversation.
Idea. Yeah. So this conversation, he walks over and she looks kind of down, even after she's heard the news about, Palpatine being nominated for Chancellor. And he says, used to thinking you people gonna die or something like that.
Yeah.
And, and she starts, he was basically saying he was worried too, but that the Gungans have a strong army.
Yes.
They've got this good, strong army or whatever. And just that line itself and being reminded that there is an army still there on Naboo that could, if coordinated, could rise up and be helpful in taking back Theed and Naboo.
Right.
So,
right. Yes, I remember that conversation.
Right.
So she wants to go back to Naboo, and she's like, I'm not signing no treaty.
Right.
No way, no how.
No way. Right.
Right. All right.
And they're saying that, all of the advice to her was if you go back, they'll make you sign the treaty. And she's like, well, I'm not signing it. And they're like, they'll kill you then. And, I mean, almost, and I almost wonder if she was thinking then I'll be a martyr. Then, then really my people, it will be a short-lived occupation. They will come after the Trade Federation if they were to murder Queen Amidala. That would be crazy. So I think she might have had that in the back of her mind as well. I'm kind of just throwing that out there. But
I think so. She was a queen of her people for her people. She would have done whatever it takes.
Right.
I mean, clearly.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and then so, Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon are, see if you remember this, so they're he's not allowed to train Anakin. So these are happening at the same time. You flash over to the council.
Yeah.
Flash back over to the Senate. Yeah. Chambers and stuff. So they then learned that that the queen is going back to Naboo. I think that might have taken them back a little bit. We need you to go back there, and that they believe the queen's attacker will reveal himself once again, and that's the more important thing. Get to the bottom of this. Who is this person? Who is this that's
mysterious,
trained? Yeah, in the Jedi arts.
That Qui-Gon says is a Sith.
Right. Yes. Yeah. So super. They're intrigued to see what's going on there. And so he goes back. He meets Queen Amidala, and kind of says, don't know what your plan is here, but I can't fight a war for you, but you have my services, and I will protect you with my life.
Yes. I do remember that.
Yeah.
So they're back on Naboo, right? Attempting to locate the Gungans.
Yep. Yeah.
To have that conversation and be like, hey, like, let's do this.
Right. Do you remember
Boss Nass, right?
Right. Yes.
To form the alliance and unite in the battle. Right. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Do you remember though that where they went to look the first time, they couldn't find him? Jar Jar goes to look in the underwater city.
Yeah, because they met in like a forest type looking area.
Right, exactly. So he goes there first to see if they're there, and they've abandoned it.
Is it because they knew?
Yeah, I think it's just like they went to their fallback to a safer place, perhaps, or like a religious site. I believe it was a place where they gathered.
Okay.
Yeah. So he knew of a secret place that they could then go to, and leads them in. So, yeah, that's interesting. I mean, the crazy thing is that then Jar Jar just goes from this silly, guy or whatever to this,
he's actually.
He's instrumental
yes.
in like creating this alliance.
He
and
unites.
Like, right, giving Padme the idea to go do this. It's just it's unreal, I mean,
dare
Jar
we
Jar
say we need Jar Jar Binks?
Yeah, he's the key to everything, right? Gosh.
Otherwise, this could have gone a whole nother route.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh Lord.
So, yeah, so let's get to that conversation, right?
Yes, so Amidala, right? She's talking to Qui-Gon and Nass about her battle strategy, right?
Right.
Yep. And there's a distraction.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
Help me with that.
Yeah, so she wants to basically use it's not use them as like bait or whatever. She needs to create a distraction.
Correct.
But she has a plan to immobilize the droids. So this is a Star Wars thing to do. You've got the Gungan army going to amass out just outside the city, the capital city of Theed.
Yes.
And that is in the hopes that they'll draw out the Trade Federation army. So if they draw them out to the battlefield, that will leave the Viceroy, Newt Gunray. It will leave him alone and sort of vulnerable, right? And then it's like that's step 2 is they're going to go in and try to capture him. So distraction, while you're distracting and fighting, we're going to go in, and if we can capture the Viceroy, then we can end this right there. If we can't do that, we're also going to send out fighters to the command ship, where I said in the beginning in part 1, it controls that droid army, so that up in space, they're fighting. Yeah, if they can knock the lead command ship out, if they can destroy it,
those droids are down.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
So one of two things: the Viceroy could have forced him, to command that the army stop and cease or whatever,
or they could just
shut the command ship down. Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. So I have the diversion. The Gungan's going to destroy the droids. Trying to get the Viceroy. So while all this is happening, Anakin gets into a fighter to hide.
Yeah, that's right.
R2 and Annie.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Chilling out.
This is like their
buddies.
First.
Is this their first little battle together?
Yeah,
little experience, kind of with just those two.
Right, exactly. It is. So R2's in there with him and kind of coaching him through things or whatever, and so he stays. Qui-Gon tells him, "Stay there, stay in that speeder."
Technically
or that
he listens.
Fighter. Right, he does. He does.
No, they don't stay there.
Right, but
Anakin, he knows he needs to help.
Yeah, he does. I mean, and then also he's like, "We got to do something," because at this point, this is the best part of the whole freaking movie right here is that everything would have gone smooth except for our friend, or not our friend, our enemy, Darth Maul. Right, that's where everything happens. So he's in that in that fighter, and so he's in the fighter. Qui-Gon looks at him. He says, "Stay there." And they're walking. Everything's calm. They're good. They have infiltrated. Like the distractions happening. They are there. They've got fighters that they just sent up to the command. Everything is going as planned. And then in walks Darth Maul. And
Darth Maul.
It's unreal. I mean, this is one of the best parts. I mean,
Dude,
it's the best part.
And these things are happening simultaneously. Like we're flipping screen here. Like we're
Right.
going back and forth. So we're watching this huge droid army unleash these like electric balls and these slings, and it's like, and it's just crazy.
Right. Yeah.
And then we've got this duel.
Yeah. Duel of Fates.
This duel starting.
Yeah. It's unreal. That I have chills every time I think about it, and I remember, being just a little guy and in the theaters, and when the music starts to play, and you can see Qui-Gon step forward.
You
and
just
say,
know
we've got this. We'll handle this. And Padme's like, yeah, okay, we're getting that guy out of here. Let's see ya. See ya. That guy does not look fun. And then when they take their robes off, the music starts or whatever. I mean, and then one end of the lightsaber ignites, and then
What were your thoughts when you saw
We'd
that?
never seen it. I'd never seen it. I was
Was it on
shocked.
the movie poster?
I don't think it was it?
Maybe I'm thinking of
Let
Kylo's
me look.
lightsaber.
Let me look. No, I don't think it was, because I think it was a shock. Or if it was, I hadn't.
I think I'm thinking of Kylo's.
I was so little that I didn't really.
Because I think we were like, what the heck? Because his was so different too.
Yeah. Yeah, his was. And that we got to see, though.
Yeah, we saw that in trailers, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah, no, the episode 1 is just, you can actually see Darth Maul,
Is
behind.
he, like, up?
He's sort of, like, behind, just, like, looking through everyone there, if you can see that, Tiff.
That's a sick poster.
Yeah, it's his eyes, and he's just looking over everybody, the whole cast.
Yeah.
So, anyways, the music plays. John Williams is amazing, and it's
John Williams.
It's unreal. It's unreal. And this is where things, like you said, we all of a sudden now we have really 4 things going on now. Okay,
You're right.
Yeah.
I didn't mention Anakin either.
Yeah. So and
and Padme.
right. So as soon as they start to exit or whatever, droidicars, so like destroyers, roll up, and they've got their force fields and everything like that.
Yes.
So super hard to get past with just your blasters. And Anakin, he knows that. He realizes that they're in trouble, and he's like, "We have to do something, R2." And then, boom. So he's taken that on. So we still have 3 going on. We have the distraction with the Gungan army. We've got Obi-Wan and Darth Maul and Qui-Gon Jinn.
Right.
That's happening.
Yep.
Then we have Padme and Anakin, and all this right here is happening. And then Anakin splits off and becomes that 4th story that we follow.
Yeah.
So the end of this is just nuts. It
is. There's a lot going on, and my notes are like kind of all over the place. If you think I'm like jumping back and forth, I try to keep, dueling stuff with dueling, but
Right.
So
actually, let's just kind of follow a thread. Which thread do you want to follow for a second? Actually,
let's go ahead.
I think the one we should follow for just a second is, let's leave the Gungan army there for a while, because they are just a distraction set up there fighting. It is what it is.
Oh, I even wrote 3 battles going on at one time.
Right. Yeah. So Padme and the rest of them are trying to make it to the throne room.
Right.
And so they just work down. They meet a little resistance here and there. Cool thing that we forgot to mention, but that's okay, is that Padme is Queen Amidala.
Well,
we know we know that, but here's where it comes into play. And actually, what is her name? Keira Knightley is is the double. She's the double queen. So she actually, later on when they go to capture the Viceroy, he captures Padme. So that thread that we're following, he captures Padme and thinks that she is the queen. Well, she is the queen, right? But there happens to be her double walking around who is able to, distract and free her queen by saying, "No, here I am. I'm over here. Come get me."
Right.
And then boom, that's how they're able to get a hold of the Viceroy.
Yeah.
But then, the Anakin scene, though. I mean, with him up there flying, let's talk about that for a little bit. We're going to save the best for last, obviously.
Well, Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. So Anakin knows that he needs to fight. He wants to fight. And he says spinning, that's a good trick, which I thought was really kind of cute.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because he's a kid, right?
Oh, yeah.
So R2 gets them off the autopilot. So that was one of the main things that they were struggling with. He needed off the autopilot
That's
and
right.
able to
Maneuver.
and do the things that he wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I wrote Annie gets hit and the fighter's overheating.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, he's kind of losing control, and so I think he goes in to kind of like land it, and he goes right into their hangar.
And he blows the control ship up.
Right.
From the inside.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So.
And success. The
yeah.
droids are shut down.
I know it's kind of ridiculous, that like I mean, obviously he's force sensitive and things, so there's that whole piece. But yeah, the way that works out is unreal. But yeah, he's able to disable the command ship, and then the droids, fall down. The Gungans are saved because they are captured. At one point, it looks like they're done. They're
it was
dying
getting
and
messy.
Yeah, and so it was not good. So all of that is happening, and that's good, right? Mm-hmm. While all of that's happening, we have our Duel of Fates. So we still have that happening, and now we can just talk about the best part of the movie. What did you think of that fight scene?
I mean, it gives you chills.
Yeah.
I mean, it absolutely gives you chills. And I'm actually looking at a movie still of it right now, and it's just... It's Maul. His lightsaber is kind of vertical, and we've got Obi-Wan on one side hitting the bottom of it,
right?
And you got Qui-Gon coming for he's hitting at the top.
On the top, yep.
Oh my gosh! But think about two versus one though, and he's putting up an epic fight, and it's not like these are two
slouches,
mediocre Jedi. You know,
they're good.
I mean, these are skilled Jedi, and oh my gosh! So,
well, they also have like a force connection as master and apprentice, and and they're trying to penetrate his, defenses in a sense, and strike him, and it's difficult to the point where actually Darth Maul is able to separate them. He's able to kick. Obi-Wan in the face and kind of knocks him down, and he separates the two of them.
Yeah.
So
the battle's happening in the hangar, right? And on these little catwalk kind of things.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And Obi-Wan gets separated from Qui-Gon when he's kicked and he falls.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then he jumps back up.
Yep.
And Qui-Gon and Darth Maul, they're continuing to fight, and then this force field comes up and in this entrance to this different room.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Qui-Gon sits down.
Oh yeah. You talk about one of my favorite scenes
if
there.
that doesn't just show you how badass.
I wish there were, it does. And I wish there were more times where during a fight you could just sit down or right after a fight or before or wherever and meditate. It just shows a complete different nature in each of those fighters between Qui-Gon and Darth Maul. He's pacing.
Yes.
He's pacing like
he's
a predator.
like a rabid dog.
Right.
He's ready.
Right.
Qui-Gon is it's yin and yang.
I know, and I don't know. I just don't know why it's so hard for me sometimes to be the move that that Darth Maul uses is very unorthodox. It's not basically it's not that it's not fair, but it's almost like a dirty move in a sense, It's a great move, but it's also a technique that I don't know that Qui-Gon had ever seen or really faced.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He's never faced something quite like this. Mm-hmm. Trained in a different way than he had ever imagined. And so yeah, he's taken off guard. Obi-Wan is flying down there. He does a force jump. He's trying to catch back up. He is hightailing it down there, and those same thing happens to him. He gets super close. He runs in there, and we see his master meditating.
Yes.
And then once the energy beams
It like deactivates.
Right. Then, he tries to rush up there so he can get back in the fight with his master. And it's perfectly done. I mean, because, like, that was just an amazing way for, you had this audience member. There were two audiences. There was Obi-Wan watching his master fight, and we were watching his master fight. We were with Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
We were in Obi-Wan's shoes. That was kind of crazy to draw that little parallel. Like, we're standing there with you, Obi-Wan. And when you scream out, after your after he's fallen or been stabbed in the chest, we're screaming out too. We're upset as well. And so it was just, I thought it was a great way to do it. It's heartbreaking, but there it is, And so he watches what happens there, and he's pissed. He's not meditating.
No, he's the rabid dog now.
Yeah.
And when you give someone that kind of passion, that's going to change your whole battle.
Yeah.
Because had Qui-Gon not fallen in battle, I don't know how well Obi-Wan would have done. Could he have fallen had he gotten through after they like deactivated again the force fields? Like if he would have gone up, he wouldn't have had that driving passion to fight the way he did in the end.
Right.
I just wonder.
Yeah,
it's just a wondering.
It could have been something to where if he would have got in the room, then maybe Darth Maul just gets away, and or something like that. But maybe Obi-Wan would have been the one that he would use that move against. You know what I mean? The fact that he saw it, I think, kind of prepared him for what Maul was what he could do, and so he went nuts. I mean, the best move is the behind the back, where he does the sort of like, he blocks in the front and then immediately blocks in the back, and then very quickly after that does a couple quick swipes and is able to cut his lightsaber in half, cut Darth Maul's lightsaber in half, which shocks Darth Maul, right?
Because now you don't have your double blade
like,
anymore.
whoa! I mean, it's just the energy at which this kid came at me is very Obi-Wan might have tapped into something there and very passionately fighting Darth Maul, and he wasn't expecting that, and it's working for a while. He's going nuts, and again, we didn't know at the time, but these are two apprentices fighting each other, and it's sick. I mean, it's such a sick fight scene.
Yeah.
But Darth Maul, though, you got to give him a lot of credit. Able to pull out that force push, so they're locked in lightsaber form, right, and they disengage quickly, and the force push is what caught Obi-Wan off guard.
Yeah.
So, what did you think when you first saw Obi-Wan? Kind of, I mean, did you know? Did you remember like just that? Because I've heard people say like they didn't remember that Obi-Wan had a role later on. Like if you didn't know, it's sort of like if you had just got into it in episode 1 and you weren't sure what was going to happen. Like how does he get out of that pickle? He's dangling there.
Yeah, he's hanging.
His lightsaber's gone. That's when I was like, what?
Yeah.
He has no lightsaber. We all forgot about the other lightsaber sitting in the room. You know what I mean? And so.
I mean.
Yeah.
Makes me think of Last Jedi.
Yes, I know. I know.
Makes me think of the that battle there.
Yep. So, but what were your thoughts? I mean, Obi-Wan's dangling there,
I mean, first time I'm seeing it.
Yeah.
I'm thinking maybe he would just jump somewhere else because I had already seen the other movies, so I know Obi-Wan. Obviously, he lives.
Right.
But I was thinking, well, maybe he can crawl down or jump to a different catwalk or something, get away, right?
Right.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah.
So he comes back up.
Yeah, he does.
He
goes
gets
the
his
opposite
master's
way.
lightsaber.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dang. And then
cuts him in half. Yeah. That's great.
When you see him fall and he's still kind of together and then it splits and you're like,
wow.
What?
I know.
What?
They did a great job with that. I mean,
that was really cool.
Because you didn't quite know. We were as much shock if you forgot the lightsaber was there.
I did.
And then all of a sudden it starts to kind of move. You're like, what? What's he gonna? He's gonna pull that to what's he gonna do with it? And the fact that he force jumps up.
Force jumps.
There, right. Catches
Gets the saber.
Slice. Done.
And Maul is as shocked as everybody else was.
Right. Yes.
When seeing that, right. Oh, I'm dead.
Yeah, it's that overconfidence. He's arrogant, and
The arrogance.
Yeah.
Arrogance.
Thought he had him. I mean, thought
Oh,
it was
yeah.
done, right?
This guy's dead.
Right.
I'm going to kill this guy. He's
Right.
dangling. It's over, right?
Yeah.
You don't expect it at all.
Right.
All right. So, and then you get those heart-wrenching moments where Obi-Wan reaches Qui-Gon moments before he dies. And he's talking to him. He's like, train Anakin to become a Jedi. Anakin is the chosen one.
Right. Yep. Exactly.
And Obi-Wan gives him his word that he's gonna do it.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, when Qui-Gon dies, that sucks. I wish I had more Qui-Gon.
Oh, we all do. I know. It's a big thing. I love that later on, they actually bring his voice back in episode 2, and Liam Neeson comes back to do it and everything. Or 3. Episode... No, it's in 2 and 3,
Don't
I
look
think.
at me.
It's in 2 and 3.
Well, I'm not there yet.
I know. But then he's also in the Clone Wars. But yeah, I do wish we had more, and I think it's sad.
He's the guy you're rooting for. He's the guy that goes rogue. He's the guy that says, "No, I know this is right. The Force is telling me this. I know Anakin's the chosen one. I'm going to do this."
Yeah.
And then he's gone.
He's one of the best looks at what like a true Jedi was. You know what I mean? He really is, and he looks the part. He feels the part. He feels like a Jedi. It just and he has his own Padawan. It just feels right, and it's such a window to kind of look into the life of this Jedi.
And he's like, order. "Yeah, you may be the Jedi Council, but I answer to the Force."
Yeah. A higher calling. Yeah, I know. So yeah, it's sad, but anyway. So yeah, he does. I think a part of this too. We got into some deep stuff with the council, but right here, Obi-Wan is asked to train Anakin. What if Qui-Gon doesn't ask him to make that promise? Does Anakin ever get trained?
I think Obi-Wan would have done it anyway because he knew what Qui-Gon wanted.
Without him asking.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you're probably right about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're probably right.
I mean, he knew what his master wanted. I mean, that was already expressed. Mm-hmm. And even though Obi-Wan was a little iffy about it, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, no.
Was he iffy about it because of what the council said?
Before, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, he was just... Obi-Wan it's just ingrained in him that this is the council. Like, he wants his master to be... He and his master kind of butt heads a little bit.
Jedi droid getting poured out by the council.
Yeah, he is actually a little bit, and so he doesn't always kind of understand why his master butts heads with the council. Mm-hmm. And I love when earlier on in the movie Qui-Gon says that I foresee that you will become a great Jedi Knight one day, Obi-Wan, and he kind of tells him that he's smart, that Obi-Wan has a good head on his shoulders and that he's going to be great.
Yeah.
And it's just so cool to kind of hear Qui-Gon see that and to foresee it. But Qui-Gon knew what his path was, and he knew that he needed to be who he was, so. Yeah,
and I think I even wrote in my notes here somewhere that I thought that Obi-Wan knew Qui-Gon was going to die before it happened. When he's held back behind that force field, there's like a moment.
He can see it. Yeah.
I think he can sense it.
He can sense it. You're right. I mean, you see how he reacts. He's almost like this big gasp, like, oh no, like he sees a combination coming or something.
Something.
Yes, and something whether he sees the combination or he feels it through the force, like a warning of some kind. That had he have been on the other side of that force field, he could have been the blade that would have protected his master, but he's not there because when they're in that sort of battle meditation state, and they're fighting one another, like they know when to parry and how to block and who's taking what blows and things like that. And I feel like that was something that Obi-Wan on the other side of that force field would have.
Oh, I get where you're going.
You know what I mean? He's seeing the battle unfolding, and he's just like,
and he knew it was his time.
Boom, boom, boom. There, that's me. I should be.
But he's not there.
No, and then he got him. Yeah, that's just how I.
I feel
Ewan McGregor
that.
did a great job in that moment of it because you can almost like you see him get real concerned.
It's like,
and the next moment, bang, bang, bang.
Yeah.
And he's done.
Yeah.
And so.
No, I'm on board with that 100%. I feel like he knew. He
Right.
knew it was gonna happen.
Yeah.
Dang.
I know. So, but anyways, so to kind of move on and wrap it up. I mean, we have a ceremony. You know, we have a little ceremony at the end where, actually before that, Obi-Wan meets with Yoda, and Yoda's kind of talking about how they do grant him the rank of Jedi Knight. You know, so he's moving past, you know, apprentice and Padawan stage onto Jedi Knight, and that's cool, you know. But you know, your request to train this boy, they don't want to grant that, you know.
Correct.
Or I think he might say like that Yoda disagrees with it or whatever.
Yoda doesn't want Annie as a Padawan learner. Fears grave danger.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
right, and yeah, you can't. I mean, I know. So, but Yoda or Obi-Wan is there nothing. Well, he will disobey the council.
Oh, 100%.
Flat out says that he's with or without your, you know, blessing or
something,
permission.
yeah.
I'll train the boy. It's what he told Qui-Gon he would do. And so once he realizes that, Yoda just knows. All right, I don't want that for you. That can't be your first, you know, beef and butting heads with the council. We don't want that. So we grant you permission to train him.
They end up agreeing, yeah.
Yeah.
And something that creeps me out to no end is Palpatine saying he will watch Annie's career with great interest.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would.
Yeah. Yeah, he will. And he does.
Snake.
Yeah. I know.
And then we got Qui-Gon's funeral, and they're, you know, the old style of back in the day. I think of like the Trojans.
Yes.
Burning their dead.
Right. Yep.
And Obi-Wan tells Annie he's going to train him.
Yes. That you are to be trained.
Because doesn't Annie ask, you know, what's going to happen to me?
Yeah. What becomes of me? Yeah. And he said the council has granted me permission to train you. And then Yoda is talking to Mace Windu, and they can. Do you have that down here?
Yeah.
Where's that at?
Well, we find out. Yeah, you see it?
Mysterious warrior. Yeah, was a Sith. So they confirm that, right?
Correct.
And that's when Yoda says, "Always two, a master and an apprentice." And so they don't know which one was destroyed, which is freaking them out a little bit. You know,
I mean, if you think about this, the end of this stinking movie, and they're saying that, and you're like,
right?
Huh?
I know. Yeah, it's great, and they're just in such confusion, you know. But then what was interesting was the statement that always two, you know,
always
a master
two.
and an apprentice, and that was something at the time we didn't really, you know much about. We didn't quite understand that. And so more books and novels and things came out afterwards to kind of fill in Darth Bane and him setting up the rule of two and what all of that meant. So we can talk about that later or now if you want to. I mean,
hey, I'm into sweaty.
It's sweaty. It's basically after the Sith had tried so many different times in their empire to attack the Republic, multiple Sith. They had an emperor with a dark council and everything. I mean, it was like, imagine what you see in the Jedi Council, just like, you know, the shadow of that, or like the reflection of it being, you know, a dark side council. So there was one of those, right?
Okay.
And so anyways, it's not working out. I'll kind of make this real short and brief.
Sure.
And you get eventually to a character named Darth Bane, who realizes that this is not working, and that that the Sith need to be more secretive and more selective of who they train, and almost that they, by limiting their number, that one person would be given more power in the Force. You know what I mean? And so instead of that Force, the dark side Force, flowing throughout these thousands of Sith, it's going to flow into one or two, you know, and so they're going to pass on what they've learned. Always, you know, a master and an apprentice. It also helped them hide from the Jedi Order.
True.
It did a lot of different things. They were able to basically fall back into the shadows, and the Jedi, you know, where Ki-Adi Mundi says the Sith have been extinct for over a millennia.
Yeah.
Over 1,000 years.
They're not. They're in your political
Right,
offices.
they're there. Right, exactly. And that was the whole point, is that he set that up so that way that could happen. They could work from the shadows.
Yeah.
And it's worked perfectly. So
Absolutely perfectly.
yeah.
Dang.
So, but
Yeah.
but yeah, and then there's a parade. What do you have here?
Gungans know how to party.
Yeah. Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do.
And then Anakin looks cute. But I my question was, what's the purple ball at the end?
I have no idea. I think it was just it was like an energy ball. I don't know. It had
Okay.
energy around it. Remember the things that they were launching? That was
Yeah.
some kind of technology or something that they used. We can look that up though, because I don't know exactly what that was.
Purple.
It was wow.
Hey!
Wow. Purple ball. Yep.
Purple ball.
So,
We don't
anyways,
know.
don't know exactly. It was just a good ceremonial thing, and we can look it up. If you know, please let us know down in the comments. We'd love to know exactly what that is. So, yeah. All right. Cool. So that's basically the end of episode 1.
Yeah.
So
We did it.
the Sith are revealed. They have been revealed.
Yeah,
and,
they're here.
right, and something's going on. They're going to figure this out. So,
Yeah.
so alrighty. What you questions? Or did we answer most of them?
I think he answered most of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I do, Tiffany. I just
know, I'm just
try.
saying.
No, no, and as they come up, or if you guys have questions too, we definitely want you to submit those on, Facebook and things, and let us know. And we kind of recorded these, ahead of time. So
Right.
if we post that first thread and you guys had questions there and we didn't get to it, we would definitely do that in episode 2 and make sure we answer your questions. We recorded these both on the same day, so.
Yep.
So yeah, all right, cool beans. I think it's, as far as Star Wars movies go, it is, of the prequels, I go back and forth whether it's whether I like it over Revenge or Episode 3. It's I go back and forth on it. So it's a good movie. I love it. But it's, I don't know. It just depends on the day. Sometimes depends on what I want to see.
I mean, whether I like it or not is neither here nor there. The amount of information
Yeah.
is what I'm looking for.
Yeah. The conversations actually that I think that we had here that was really good was about the council,
Yeah.
right? And then we
Yeah.
had a really good conversation about their teachings and their belief system, right? And then we had in part 1, gosh, we had a good conversation about the Force,
We
right?
did.
And
Yep.
how and visions and Force powers and things like that. And then we had a conversation here again about the Chosen One in both those episodes. So you have a lot of pieces going on, the Rule of Two and the Sith.
Yeah.
All of that is sort of emerging here, and there are quotes and conversations here that are super important to the rest of, to everything else,
Yeah.
really. It's really a big, it sets the stage,
Yeah.
So,
I mean, all of those things connect throughout the entire series.
yeah.
There is a quote that I had that I didn't read on the last episode that I want to read now.
Okay, yeah.
And it kind of can go with, anything, but it also makes me think of like Yoda and what Yoda had to say about Anakin. It's a Qui-Gon quote because, of course,
Right.
Qui-Gon has the best lines, quotes, knowledge. Your focus determines your reality. And how I'm connecting that to Yoda is his focus for Annie was dark side. And that became the reality.
Wow.
I mean, you can disagree with me if you want, but it fits.
Wow. Hold on a second. When does he... Do you remember exactly when he says that?
Not a clue when he says it, but he says it, and it stuck with me.
Oh, my gosh.
Sorry, guys. We got to go watch episode 1.
Yeah.
I don't know when he says it and what it's... he probably says it to Obi-Wan or he says it to Annie.
Holy
But that stuck with
smokes. Give me just a quick second
Sure
here.
thing, friend.
This is a 6 second. He's talking to Anakin.
Is it
Yeah.
it's to Annie?
Yeah. Wow. Your focus determines your reality.
And Annie ended up focusing on those fears, which, yes, of course, led him to the dark side.
Tiffany, I'm going to tell you something. I don't know what we just stumbled in here to, but that is huge. That is huge. That actually fits in with everything that we were just talking about. It really does. Mm-hmm. Your focus determines your reality. They were focused on fear. Mm-hmm. They were focused on their own fear. They were afraid of his fear. Right or wrong, right?
Yeah.
They were afraid of his fear. They just
Master Yoda was afraid of his feers.
Right.
And you know, everybody's listening to Yoda.
Well, and some people
except
will say,
Qui-Gon.
right, and some people will say though, it's that man, it's your choices, it's the words that come out of your mouth, it's your actions and things. You know, they could have had that fear, but choosing to act on it and maybe he's just educating Anakin or letting him know or what have you, but they do act on it in the sense that they choose not to train him because he is too old. Mm-hmm. And so their focus, they're determined their own reality and his reality and so on. And then Anakin's as well is determining his. That is. Why am I just flabbergasted over here? That's a great one. That's literally going to be like the title of this episode. My gosh,
it's a good quote.
That's a really good quote.
It's a good quote, and
I'm glad you brought it up.
Yeah. I tend to do some things really amazing sometimes.
Yeah, you do. The force is strong in you, Tiffany.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool. Anything else? Any other food for thought there before we jump into like light speed round stuff?
No, I think that's all I've got as far as my amazing moments.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All righty. Let's jump in then to some light speed. If you would like to participate in the light speed round, you can hit us up on patreon.com. You can send Tiffany and I questions. If you want to do that, that'd be awesome. Like episode 2 questions, they can be yes, no. They can just be what have you. We'll spend a decent amount of time on them. If we have 20 questions, gosh dang it, we'll answer 20. Yeah, and it could just be what do you think? You know, given this choice, what would you do? Various different things.
You can get silly with it as well.
Yeah, mine are all silly today.
I have a silly one.
Mine are super silly, but just a nice little fun round that we want you to be able to influence the podcast with. So check it out on Facebook and patreon.com. Okay, so my first question, do you want me to go first or would you like to go first?
No, you go first. I only have 2.
Okay, so okay, cool. This actually harkens back to, because I forgot to ask it, part 1.
Okay.
And my question is it working?
What?
It's working. Do you remember that part?
No.
You remember that part when Anakin's like he's in the
Is he in the fighter?
He's in his pod racer.
Oh, he's in the pod racer.
So I said it harkens back to the first. This is actually me going back.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So remember he's sitting there and like all the wind's blowing past him and he's like, "It's working.
Oh,
it's working." You don't remember that?
No.
Oh my god.
Oh no, I failed. I failed the trial.
It's okay. It's okay. We learn from our failures.
Was that during the race? That pod race was so long.
No, wasn't during the race.
Was it before?
Yeah,
when he was starting and he shoots off.
No. It was back.
What's happening right now?
It was back when Jar Jar was like gets his tongue caught in the the energy beam.
Yeah.
He's actually just showing Qui-Gon. He's back at his house
with Kitster.
Right. He had just showed them. He's starting it up or whatever. He just starts it up for like the first time in the movie and shows it to him. And he's just like, "It's working. It's working."
Oh, God.
And it's one of the corniest, like Matt and I all the time are always kind of quoting it and using it. Just ridiculous. So,
oh my gosh.
So my question was, is it working?
Yes,
obviously.
it is working.
It's working.
Apparently my brain's not, but
no, that's okay. I had to go back to
to
part 1 because I was like, why didn't I ask that in episode 1 or part 1 of episode 1? All right.
Now I'm in on the inside joke.
Now you got it. Yeah, we say that a lot. So if you ever hear us say it, that's what we're talking about. Yeah.
Now. Oh my gosh.
All right.
All right.
What do you got?
Are you using, if you could, double-edged lightsaber or a single?
Single. Straight up single.
Okay. Any particular reason?
Yeah, I don't know exactly why. I think it's just like it's sort of like traditional to me. I think most of what I've seen is just I feel like I would have better control of that too. And it's just a style that I'm probably more used to. So yeah, I don't know that I'd be very good at fighting with a double-bladed
I have a question.
saber. Yeah.
Do only dark side individuals make their lightsabers crazy?
Make them crazy?
Darth Maul had double. Kylo's is different. The edges.
Okay.
Do any light-sided Jedis have
Like weird-looking
Yeah.
lightsabers? Let me see here. Here's a good one. Let me pull up this character's name if I can.
do it?
He is. Oh, of course, I'm not going to be able to find. Well, there he is. Is it Gungi? I don't know his name. Gungi. That cannot be his. That cannot be how you pronounce his name. But
Got Gungans on the brain.
yeah, it's I don't even know. It's Gungi.
Junji?
Maybe yes. I believe this was in the Clone Wars. He creates a lightsaber, and he is a Wookiee, and his is created. It's created out of wood. So here, let me turn this to Tiffany. I'll show it to her. It's pretty cool looking. So
All right.
it's different from what you would originally think, and so he picked
Yeah.
his materials, and it's just kind of epic. Now, crazy. That's sort of a different type of hilt. As
Right.
for like the blade,
Yeah.
being different,
Yeah.
I not that I know of really.
It's kind of like a dark side thing.
Yeah, it could be. And actually, to be honest with you, that Kylo Ren's lightsaber with the
edges.
with the edges and the hilt,
Yeah.
that actually is more of a. They say that's sort of like an Old Republic style of lightsaber. It harkens back to the old times, and so it's actually modeled off of something from the Old Republic. And so not that it's necessarily dark side or light side. It's just an older model, and
Okay.
it has a different, use, I guess.
Who makes lightsabers?
So, the Jedi.
Okay.
Yep, they
so
make their own.
So Kylo made his own.
Yes. Yep, they do.
Kyber crystals, right?
Yes, they have to go seek them, and they have to basically go. They go into, whether it's the Jedi Temple, like different temples on different planets,
Okay.
or if they go to just a planet that happens to have them, and into, like the cave or like a real force-sensitive place, and I forget how Kanan says this to Ezra, but he's kind of. Is he looking for his Kyber crystal there? No, I don't think he is. I can't remember. But they, the crystal itself almost like calls out to you. Yeah, so it finds you in a sense. It's almost like the wand chooses the wizard.
Oh yeah. It's not
Yes.
always clear why.
Right, exactly. And so it's actually kind of it's kind of cool that you go in there and you're what you're looking for. You're not. They can't really tell you exactly. You kind of have to open yourself up, and it's almost like one of them will sing to you or speak to you or reach out to you, and you will know. Yeah, and it's sort of a rite of passage for the younglings or for Padawans and things like that for them to develop their lightsabers that way. I'll look up more about how all that works.
I'm
but
thinking of Last Jedi. I'm thinking of Rey. I'm thinking of the cave scene and the snaps. And
the snaps.
stuff.
Yeah.
You think? I mean, she doesn't have her own lightsaber. She didn't make one.
No, she has not
Do
made
you
one.
think her kyber crystals are there? Is that who was talking to her in there? Somebody was whispering.
Oh no, I think that no, yeah, I know. She will have to go on her own journey, I believe, to make a lightsaber, obviously, because hers was destroyed. It's actually Anakin's lightsaber that was passed down to Luke that has been destroyed.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's some craziness. But she will have to construct her own, just like Luke did after Episode 5. He had to construct his own. And what's kind of neat is, if you ever see them creating it, or if I can show you a clip after this, like they're meditating in the Force. All of the pieces are like floating in the air.
Moving rocks.
They're moving rocks, right? And the
Floating
crystal's there
rocks.
in the center, and they have to just put it all together just right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To have like their well balanced. lightsaber and stuff. So
cool.
yeah.
All right. That got a little...
No, it's good.
Got a little sweaty there.
That's good. It's good.
All right. I believe it's your turn.
Yeah, here we go. Which force power are you currently developing?
Push.
Force push. Good.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
Now you need that. Standard. Gotta have that.
Yes.
Okay.
I just got to force push stuff.
Let me ask you one more here. If
Sure.
you could visit one planet from episode 1, which one would it be? You could only visit one. Where do you want to go? You may go over some of the planets that were.
So, I don't want to go to Tatooine.
Okay.
Definitely not. Where do I want to go?
Yeah, where do we want to go? You have Naboo. You've got Tatooine. You've got Coruscant.
Yeah. I think I want to go to Naboo.
Naboo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
want to go to Naboo.
Okay.
All right.
Any reason why? Just.
It looks nice.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Okay.
Oh man. All right.
what do you got?
This is my last question,
Okay.
and it's a silly one. How hard are you partying in Theed at that parade?
Oh, wow. Hard. Let me
You're
tell you.
partying hard.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The spirits are flowing. Yeah, that's for sure. Man, that looked like, especially with the Gungans, just having a good time.
I'm just saying, partying with a Gungan is probably one of the best things that you can do.
Well, and I actually bet Jar Jar was just on cloud 9, so
he was enjoying himself.
that would have been a good time to be around him. So,
He wouldn't bother anybody. Man,
yeah,
Misa this, Misa that.
that's good. All right, and actually, that's I think that's about it. I'm just gonna go 3 today because I think my other ones weren't very good. So I like that. It's good. All righty.
All right.
So wow, we are through our first movie,
We are.
which is super awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. All right. So you can find us on YouTube at Rebel Watch and on Facebook at Rebel Watch Podcasting. And you can also follow your Jedi Master, Ezra, on Instagram at WompRat_2M.
Right. Also, you can follow your Padawan learner, Tiffany, on Twitter at TiffSwish_flick.
Thank you so much for joining us on this journey through Star Wars.
And may the Force be with you.
Just knocking on the
Perfect
door with
timing.
a phone. Hey, bye.